Coffee is one of the most popular beverages in the world. For many people, it's the first thing they reach for in the morning to feel awake, energized, and ready to start the day. But there's a question that always comes up when it comes to coffee. Does caffeine raise your blood pressure, and should you really worry about drinking it if you care about your heart health? Let's start with what we know about caffeine and how it works in the body. Caffeine is a natural stimulant found in coffee, tea, energy drinks, and even chocolate. When you drink coffee, caffeine quickly enters your bloodstream and travels to your brain. There, it blocks a chemical called adenosine, which normally promotes relaxation and sleepiness. By blocking adenosine, caffeine makes you feel more alert and awake. But caffeine also affects your nervous system and can trigger the release of adrenaline, the so-called fight-or-flight hormone. That's why caffeine can temporarily increase your heart rate and blood pressure. Studies have shown that right after drinking coffee, especially for people who are sensitive to caffeine, blood pressure can rise by about 5 to 10 millimeters of mercury. This rise usually happens within 30 minutes and can last for up to 3 hours. For most healthy adults, this spike is temporary and not dangerous. But the concern is, what happens when you drink coffee every single day for years? Does that temporary rise in blood pressure turn into long-term hypertension? The answer is a little more complicated than a simple yes or no. For people who drink coffee regularly, the body adapts. Over time, the short-term rise in blood pressure becomes much smaller because the body builds tolerance. That means if you're a regular coffee drinker, 1 or 2 cups may not affect your blood pressure as much as it would for someone who rarely drinks coffee. On the other hand, if you have high blood pressure already or if you are very sensitive to caffeine, even moderate amounts could be a problem. Research shows that for most healthy adults, drinking moderate amounts of coffee, which means about 3 to 4 cups a day, is not linked to an increased risk of hypertension or heart disease. In fact, some studies suggest that coffee may have protective effects for the heart, thanks to the antioxidants and anti-inflammatory compounds it contains. Coffee isn't just about caffeine, it's also packed with beneficial plant compounds that may improve blood vessel function and reduce oxidative stress. But not all coffee drinkers are the same. Genetics play a role in how your body processes caffeine. Some people have a gene variation that makes them metabolize caffeine slowly. For these slow metabolizers, caffeine stays in the bloodstream longer, and the impact on blood pressure and heart health may be greater. On the other hand, fast metabolizers break caffeine down quickly and may not experience as much of an effect. That's why you'll hear some people say they can drink coffee at night and still sleep fine, while others get jittery after just half a cup in the morning. Another important point to consider is what you put in your coffee. Coffee itself may not be harmful, but adding lots of sugar, flavored syrups, or heavy cream can turn your daily cup into a calorie bomb that definitely isn't good for your blood pressure or your heart. Excess sugar, in particular, is strongly linked to hypertension and cardiovascular disease. So if you're worried about blood pressure, black coffee or coffee with just a splash of milk is a much better option than a sugar-loaded latte or sweetened iced coffee. It's also worth noting that other sources of caffeine, like energy drinks, are not the same as coffee. Energy drinks often contain very high amounts of caffeine along with added sugars, artificial ingredients, and stimulants. These can have a much stronger effect on blood pressure and heart rate compared to coffee. So while moderate coffee consumption can be safe, energy drinks are a different story and are much riskier, especially for people with high blood pressure. So, should you really worry about coffee if you have concerns about your blood pressure? The answer depends on your personal situation. If you're generally healthy and don't have high blood pressure, drinking coffee in moderation is usually safe. In fact, some studies suggest coffee drinkers may even live longer and have a lower risk of heart disease compared to non-coffee drinkers. However, if you already have hypertension or if you notice your blood pressure spikes significantly after drinking coffee, it might be worth cutting back. One way to know for sure is to test your blood pressure at home. Try measuring it before and after drinking a cup of coffee. If you see a noticeable increase of 5 to 10 points that lasts for hours, it may be a sign that your body is more sensitive to caffeine. In that case, you may want to reduce your intake or switch to decaf. Decaffeinated coffee still contains beneficial plant compounds but without the caffeine, so you can enjoy the taste and antioxidants without the blood pressure spike. It's also a good idea to avoid drinking coffee right before activities that already raise blood pressure, like exercise, or before stressful events. For people with hypertension, timing matters too. Drinking coffee in the morning may be less of an issue than drinking it late at night, when your blood pressure naturally should be lower to allow your body to rest. In summary, caffeine can cause a short-term rise in blood pressure, but for most people, moderate coffee consumption is not harmful and may even provide health benefits. The key is knowing your body, paying attention to how coffee affects you personally, and making adjustments if you notice a negative impact. Coffee doesn't have to be the enemy of heart health, but like most things in nutrition, balance and moderation are essential. So, the next time you sip your morning coffee, remember, for most people, there's no need to panic. But if you already struggle with high blood pressure or feel jittery after caffeine, it might be worth rethinking how much coffee you drink. Listen to your body, check your blood pressure, and make choices that support your